The smell of stale bread and despair was all I had left. My stomach was a tight, angry knot, and the eviction notice on my door felt like a final sentence. It was on that very day, at my absolute lowest, that an angel appeared. Or so I thought. You see, I've learned something the hard way. Be careful of angels who ask for your wings in return for lifting you up. Some acts of kindness are not gifts. They are cages, gilded and beautiful, but cages nonetheless. I was just Clara, a girl who had aged out of the orphanage system with nothing but a tattered bag and a fragile sense of hope. The city was a brutal place for someone like me. Jobs were scarce, and kindness was scarcer. I worked odd jobs, washing dishes, cleaning floors, anything to afford my tiny, leaking room. But a sudden illness had wiped out my meager savings, and now, my landlord, a man with a heart of stone, had given me 24 hours to pay up or get out. I was sitting on the steps outside my building, tears blurring my vision, when a sleek black car pulled up to the curb. The back window rolled down smoothly, revealing a woman who looked like she was carved from elegance itself. She had kind eyes, framed by silver hair, and a warm, gentle smile. "My dear," she said, her voice like soft velvet, "you look terribly distressed. Is everything all right?" I just shook my head, too ashamed and overwhelmed to speak. The woman opened her car door. "I'm Evelyn," she said, stepping out. She wasn't just well-dressed. She radiated a kind of calm authority. She listened patiently as I choked out my story of debt, illness, and impending homelessness. I expected pity, maybe a few Naira notes pressed into my hand before she drove away. I never expected what happened next. "Nonsense," she said, her smile never faltering. "A young woman with so much life in her shouldn't be subjected to this. Come with me." I stared at her. "Come with you? Where?" "Home, of course," she said, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. She dealt with my landlord in minutes, paying off months of my rent with a casual wave of her hand. She had her driver put my single, pathetic bag in the trunk, and then she held the door open for me. As I slid onto the plush leather seats, leaving my world of grime and worry behind, I felt like I was in a fairy tale. This woman, this Mrs. Evelyn, was my fairy godmother. I just didn't realize that in some fairy tales, the godmother is the real villain. Her house wasn't a house, it was a mansion. It stood behind towering gates, surrounded by gardens so perfect they didn't look real. Inside, the floors shone like mirrors, and chandeliers dripped with crystals. "This will be your room," she announced, leading me into a bedroom that was bigger than my entire old apartment. It had a soft, king-sized bed, a balcony overlooking the gardens, and a closet already filled with new clothes in my size. I don't know what to say," I stammered, touching the silk of a dress. "How can I ever repay you?" She placed a gentle hand on my shoulder. "Don't you worry about that, Clara. All I ask for is your loyalty. Think of me as the mother you never had." Her words were a balm to my lonely soul. A mother. It was everything I had ever dreamed of. That first week was pure bliss. I ate 3 full meals a day, served by uniformed staff. I slept without the gnawing fear of tomorrow. Mrs. Evelyn was incredibly attentive. She'd ask about my day, listen to my stories from the orphanage, and offer gentle advice. "You're so bright, Clara," she told me one evening. "It's a shame you never had the chance to study properly. I'll arrange for a private tutor for you." She gave me a job too, a simple one, helping her organize her charity events. The pay was more than I'd ever seen. It felt like I had finally found my place in the world. But it's funny how, when you live in a golden cage, it takes a while to notice the bars. The first bar was small. "That dress is a lovely color on you, my dear," she said one morning, "but I think the blue one would be more appropriate for today's luncheon. It sends a better message." I changed without a second thought. I wanted to please her. Then it was my hair. "A simple ponytail is so much more elegant than leaving it down, don't you think?" she suggested. Slowly, my choices started feeling less like my own. I also started to notice the way other people in the house acted around her. The maids and drivers were silent and efficient, their eyes always cast down. They spoke to her with a respect that bordered on fear. I tried to befriend one of the younger maids, but she would always find an excuse to hurry away. There was one person, however, who seemed different. Leo, the old gardener. He had worked for the family for decades and had a quiet wisdom in his eyes. One afternoon, while I was walking in the garden, he tipped his hat to me. "She's taken a real shine to you," he said, his voice a low rumble. "Mrs. Evelyn is the kindest person I've ever met," I replied with a genuine smile. He kept pruning a rose bush, not looking at me. Kindness can be a leash, young lady, especially when it's used to pull you where someone else wants you to go. His words were strange, and they left me feeling uneasy. I tried to dismiss them. He was just being cynical. What did he know about the bond Mrs. Evelyn and I shared? My world felt complete, yet a part of me felt a growing sense of isolation. Mrs. Evelyn discouraged me from trying to contact old acquaintances from the orphanage. "They're part of your past, Clara," she'd say sweetly. "Your future is here now. You don't need them." The cage was becoming smaller, but it was so comfortable I barely noticed. That is, until I met Ben. He was a delivery man for a local bakery, bringing pastries for one of Mrs. Evelyn's charity events. He had a goofy, infectious smile and eyes that crinkled when he laughed. He dropped a box of croissants, and we both knelt to pick them up, our hands brushing. There was a spark, simple and real. We started talking. He was funny, down to earth, and completely unimpressed by the grandeur of the mansion. He saw me, Clara, not Mrs. Evelyn's charity case. We started meeting secretly, a quick chat at the gate when he made a delivery, a stolen walk in the park on my day off. Being with Ben felt like breathing fresh air after being in a sealed, air-conditioned room for too long. He reminded me of who I was before I became Mrs. Evelyn's project. Of course, I couldn't keep it a secret for long. Mrs. Evelyn found a note Ben had slipped me. She didn't yell. She never yelled. Her disappointment was a quiet, suffocating weapon. She sat me down in her lavish living room, her face a mask of sorrowful concern. "Clara, my dear," she began, her voice dripping with pity, "I had such high hopes for you. This boy, what can he offer you? He's a nobody." "He's a good person," I said, my voice trembling. "He makes me happy." "Happiness is fleeting," she countered smoothly. "Security, position, respect, those are the things that last. This boy, he sees you living here, and he wants to take advantage. Can't you see that? He wants to use you to get to my wealth." Every word was a carefully placed drop of poison. She was twisting Ben's genuine affection into something ugly. "That's not true," I protested. Her eyes hardened for a fraction of a second before the soft, motherly look returned. "I'm only trying to protect you, darling. I've seen this happen before. Men like him prey on girls like you. I forbid you to see him again. It's for your own good." "I forbid you." The words echoed in my ears. This wasn't a suggestion. It was a command. My fairy godmother was showing her true colors. I refused for the first time. I told her I would continue to see Ben. Her smile vanished. "I see," she said, her voice dangerously calm. "After everything I've done for you. After I picked you up from the gutter, clothed you, fed you, gave you a life. This is how you repay my kindness, with defiance and ingratitude." The guilt was overwhelming. She was right, wasn't she? I owed her everything. My comfortable bed, the food I ate, the very clothes on my back. Who was I to defy her? I left her sitting there, my heart torn in two. The next day, Ben was told his bakery services were no longer required. When I tried to call him, his number was disconnected. I ran to the bakery, a sick feeling in my stomach. The owner told me Ben had been fired. A very powerful woman had called and complained about his unprofessional behavior. She had threatened to ruin the bakery's reputation if he wasn't dismissed immediately. I knew who it was. My blood ran cold. This wasn't protection. This was control. This was cruelty disguised as care. The beautiful cage suddenly felt suffocating. I started seeing everything differently. The way she'd compliment me was always a backhanded way of changing me. The gifts she gave me were just tools to make me more dependent on her. The car she bought me, the keys and papers were in her name. The tutor she hired for me. He reported my progress directly to her every evening. I wasn't her daughter. I was her possession, her favorite pet. I had to find out the truth. I remembered Leo the gardener's words. I found him tending to the hydrangeas near the back of the estate. "Leo," I whispered, my voice shaking, "you were right. Please, you have to tell me what's going on." He looked around cautiously, his old face etched with worry. "I've seen it before," he said quietly. "There was another girl years ago, an artist named Maria. The madam took her in, just like you, showered her with gifts, paid for her art supplies, promised her the world. But the moment Maria fell in love with a man the madam didn't approve of, it all ended." "What happened to her?" I asked, dreading the answer. "The madame destroyed her," Leo said, his voice barely audible. "She used her connections to blacklist her from every gallery in the city. She spread rumors that broke the girl's spirit. Maria left the city with nothing. Broken. The madam doesn't love people, child. She loves controlling them. Her kindness is a debt she expects you to pay for the rest of your life." The final piece of the puzzle clicked into place that night. I couldn't sleep. I snuck into Mrs. Evelyn's home office, my heart pounding in my chest. In a locked drawer, I found a box of old letters. They were from Maria, begging Mrs. Evelyn to stop, pleading for her life back. At the bottom was a final, tear-stained letter, full of despair. My hands trembled as I read it. This woman hadn't just helped people. She collected them, and when they no longer served her purpose or tried to have a will of their own, She discarded them like broken dolls. Just as I placed the letters back, the door creaked open. Mrs. Evelyn stood there, silhouetted by the hallway light. The kind, motherly mask was gone completely. Her face was a cold, hard mask of fury. "Snooping, are we?" she said, her voice like ice. "Looking for things that don't concern you." "You ruined her life," I whispered, my voice cracking. "Maria, you destroyed her." She let out a short, bitter laugh. "She destroyed herself. She was ungrateful, just like you. I gave her everything, and she threw it back in my face for some worthless musician. I built you, Clara. I took you from nothing and made you into something. You belong to me. You owe me." "I don't owe you my life," I said, finding a strength I never knew I had. "Your kindness was never a gift. It was a transaction, a price for my freedom." "Freedom?" she sneered, stepping closer. "You think you can survive out there without me? You'll be back on the streets within a week, begging for scraps. You are nothing without me." In that moment, I saw her for what she was. Not a savior, but a parasite, feeding on the gratitude and dependence of others to feel powerful. I knew I had to leave. Leo helped me. He gave me the address of a small town where Ben had gone to live with his aunt. That night, I packed the only thing that was truly mine. The old, tattered bag I had arrived with. I left behind the silk dresses, the expensive shoes, and the suffocating comfort of the golden cage. I walked out of those tall gates with nothing but the clothes on my back and a heart that was finally, terrifyingly free. Life wasn't easy. I found a job waiting tables, and Ben worked at a local garage. We lived in a tiny apartment where the water wasn't always hot, and we ate simple meals. But we were together. We were building a life that was ours, a life built on real love, not on obligation and control. Sometimes when I'm sweeping the floor at the diner, I think about the mansion with its polished floors. I think about the soft beds and the fancy meals. But I don't feel regret. I feel relief, because I learned the most important lesson of my life. True kindness is a hand that lifts you up and then lets you go, trusting you to fly on your own. It doesn't come with conditions or hidden clauses. Anything else, no matter how beautifully it's disguised, isn't kindness. It's a chain, and no matter how golden that chain is, it's still a chain.